you know how many intros I've made and Brad has hated them so much he's actually, like, cut them out of the show? Like, it's literally happened on, like, at least 10...
It's not a hate thing.
At least 10 episodes it's happened.
Okay, when you do a bad intro, I cut it out. That's all I'm saying. So here's your one chance to do a good intro. Go.
And
the chance was failed.
Okay, then.
We struggle with this every time. Someone needs to do an intro. Bryce, give us a spicy meme.
How's it going, everyone? It's your boy, Smosh Games, bringing you more daily GTA 5 content.
Alright, cool.
I just stole that directly from Parasitical.
Into some follow-up.
Woo!
We got, Eric Ackersdyke. Remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Boys.
Yeah. Do you actually know him, Bryce?
No.
Seriously? Alright.
Nope.
Was it 2008 or was it 2009? Let me search this up.
It was a year, and he got it was the world record by quite a large margin, and has since gone down in the cubing history books as one of the best world records, which has since been broken a lot of times significantly.
We will never forget the F double sexy F prime U2 last layer. Because I think Felix got that, like, this one time in a single a couple of years ago, and everybody was like, full on Eric last layer.
Getting lucky isn't a crime, as he would let us believe. That was a 7.03, right? Was his record?
Yeah.
And he recently got a 6.75.
It was in 2009, by the way, for anybody following along. And oh my god, he has 117 comps. That's a few.
That's nice.
That's nice.
So it took him 7 years, and he's beaten his PB, which is now a solid 2 seconds behind the world record.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Props to him for improving, however slowly. At this rate, he'll have the world record in,
2 seconds.
2,100.
Yep. Pretty much, because that's how things work these days. I don't understand the cubing.
Yeah.
I remember when the cubing community was, easier to understand. Now it's just...
Because improvement is perfectly linear.
Yeah, it's just... No. Now you just have these people who, after 1 year, is, sub 10. I'm like, okay.
That kind of annoys me, though. The people who are like, I've been cubing for 6 months, and I've already broken the Somalian world record or something.
The Somalian world record. I don't even know if, Somalia is a registered country on the...
I'm pretty sure there's too much war there for people to do cubing.
I'm actually scared that I've offended somebody. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Let me check this out. No Somalia, I'm in the clear.
Alright.
Boys!
Sorry, Somalians. I'm sure our Somalian listener base is simply enormous. Moving on to next item of follow-up/news. It should probably be under the news heading, actually, but Worlds, which we've discussed before.
Yeah.
Where's it going to be, Reese?
Gonna be in Paris. Mwahaha.
That's the one. And how long's it going to be, Reese?
I think it's 3 days. Oh, but they were discussing having a 4-day comp, I believe.
It's 4 days.
It's 4 days. Okay, cool.
It's gonna
be
you
a
have the
4-day...
show notes document open, right?
Shut up. It's gonna be a 4-day comp, which is the first 4-day comp ever. That's probably wrong. Somebody's probably gonna correct me on that. No joke. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be in Paris. Paris is cool, because, you should see their venues. Their venues are, so fancy. There was one comp which I saw, I was like, oh, it's, slightly smaller, and I, clicked on the link, because I was bored, and I took a look at the venue, and it was, this super fancy hotel with, chandeliers and everything. I was like, this is what it's like to go to a Rubik's Cube competition in France.
They'll probably just provide everyone with cubicle premiums.
Yep.
Golden premiums.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
Ooh, yeah. Remember the golden cube? Wasn't that a thing? There was a cube made of gold and diamonds or something, and it was $1 billion.
Not Tony Fisher's golden cube. I think that's a thing as well.
No.
And it's a shape mod or something. I don't know. I'm not good at cubing.
Shape modded to gold.
Yeah,
My
well,
favourite shape.
I think it was shape modded and then painted gold. But to be honest, I'm not sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this new world record, which came out today, I believe. I mean, which is probably gonna be it's probably gonna be 2 weeks later than today when this episode's actually released. But yes, it happened.
Your lack of faith disturbs me.
It happened. It happened today. And what separated this world record was it is a +2 32.40 plus 2 equals 34.40 Megaminx world record single. Which,
Plus 2.
yeah, and he got the average as well, which was 39.43, which is cool. So what's interesting is this isn't at all the first ever plus 2 to world record. In fact, there have been quite a few in history, namely 3. First one being that, second one being Kevin Hayes' 153 plus 2, I think, on 6x6 from a couple of years ago. And as well, slightly obscure, but indeed was actually a plus 2, Mascow's 41 out of 41 multi-blindfolded.
But the thing with Kevin Hayes' 6x6 single, it says he beat in the same mean with a 149, so it wasn't held for that long. Which makes this interesting.
Yeah, and also what makes this interesting is because 6x6, that's like 2 minutes. So like you can understand 2 seconds is less of a portion of that percentage wise.
Yeah.
And as with the 40-minute multi-blind solve. But when you've got 40 seconds, less than that, 35 seconds, and you get a plus 2, that's even more insane because percentage-wise, it's less of a proportion of the full solve.
Yeah, we're going way back to like our first episode here. The problem with plus 2s. Anybody remember that? Hey, call me.
Hey.
No.
Yeah.
And like I looked at, didn't this guy hold the world record, the previous world record as well?
Yeah.
Juan Pablo Juanqui.
Oh, Juan. I love that name. Juan. That's such a dank name. I think if you like search that up, it comes up as like the best name anybody can ever get.
Yeah, that's accurate.
If your name actually was Juan, that's incredible. Props to you.
Yeah. He did hold the world record, which was the previous world record is 35 seconds, 0.18. So even with the plus 2, it's a pretty significant margin, a full second.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the previous average world record, which he broke by 0.4 seconds.
Just get a plus 2 world record on 2x2.
Yeah.
That sounds easy.
Yeah. You need to get, what, a negative 1.5 second solve. Solve the cube before inspection.
If your name is Juan, you can start in inspection.
Nice joke, Bryce.
If
Bryce, please.
Right, so that's news done. Next we're going to be moving on to a pretty big topic. Something that's been going around the community a lot lately. And it's a bunch of magnets. We're getting cubes and we're putting magnets in them. And that's the next big thing, eh?
Yep.
Sort of hovering around the cubical GTS-M, which is a way long GTS with magnets put inside it. I forget how many magnets, it's like 54 magnets or something.
I think it's like 3 in... I think it's the same amount of stickers, if I remember, or something like that. Because 9 times 6 equals 54, so that actually makes sense.
How much is it?
It costs, I think it's 65 Australian, or 50 US.
Yeah, 50 US,
wow.
which is a ton.
Is that really going to make you much faster?
Well, I wouldn't, if I were going to buy one, I wouldn't buy it for the speed, because, I mean, according to people, it's not about the speed. I'd just buy it just to feel it, you know? Because it's quite possible the next generation of cubes, whatever that is. We talked last episode about how cubes aren't really improving that much. Perhaps the magnets are the quantum leap needed to push cube technology forward. Yeah. So you'd buy one just to test it out and see where it's going and if it's viable.
Yeah, because what essentially, if you don't really know about this, what the magnets basically do to the cube is not really give it like that clicky feel that you would expect. And a lot of people think that like if you turn it 45 degrees, it's just gonna snap back. No, the magnets aren't that strong at all. Like the
cube would implode if they were that strong.
Yeah, maybe if you're off by like 5 degrees or something like that, it might go back. But like, definitely not 45. But what the magnets essentially do is increase the stability of the cube by a whole bunch, and especially with like the Way Long GTS, which was a good cube, but basically its biggest flaw was usually kind of especially on looser tensions, it would just flop around a lot of the time. So what the magnets do is essentially fix that problem. So yeah, and that also means that looser tensions are now quite viable because the cube holds together much better. If you take out like an edge in a corner, you can just like stick them together and they'll just stick and they won't come apart, which is kind of cool. But yeah, magnets.
In the video, he says, because the magnet obviously removes the need for springs, which
No, that's a different thing. I think you do need springs in the magnet cubes.
Bryce, just shut up. Get off the bloody podcast.
Well, that provides a good segue into our next sort of related thing, is that somebody's created a cube.
Provides a terrible segue.
oh right, they are two different things. Sorry.
Really, Bryce.
It's a springless cube, and it uses magnets instead of springs, which has the obvious advantage, as Bryce would say, that there's no spring friction, meaning things can turn very quickly. And in the video of the man who constructed this work of art, said that the cube sounds clicky, but it was also heavy. And going with our theme of describing cube feels after food, I would describe as a potato chip.
Oh, of course. A potato chip.
The world's most famous clicky and heavy
Nice.
food.
Alright, I'm just gonna bring up my croissant chart over here. Potato chip, crispy. It's not really that buttery, is it? What else is it?
Salty.
Salty.
It insults you after every solve.
Who puts salt on your croissants? Like, jeez, get a life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this brings into question, is the future of cubes what we think of it? Is the future of cubes just plastic against plastic, or maybe it's magic? Maybe there's a revolution incoming, boys.
Sounding like what Gans and the Cubicle have been doing, I think has really sparked some imagination in like the designing community, and a lot of people are starting to look out further instead of just having, corners, edge pieces. They really want to actually like find out new ways to construct this cube and just make it better, which I think is pretty cool that we're kind of looking forward and not back.
Yeah, because this could just be a novelty thing. This could just be a thing that the Cubicle made, and we'll all look back on and think, remember that? Like we look back on the mini cubes, or like the
Diane, Emma Fate, 4x4. Rest in peace,
Yeah,
never forget.
rest in spaghetti universe.
Oh dear.
But this could just be something we look back on and go, that was kind of dumb. Or maybe it could be the iPhone that we look back on and think, damn, if only we knew at the time the changes that would make.
Joke's on you, I use Android.
The iPhone 7 is the best phone on the market.
I don't know, Pixel looks pretty good.
The iPhone 7 actually does. The iPhone 7 beats the Pixel in performance.
Shut up, you Apple fanboy.
No, I use Android. I'm just saying Apple's not
I was
bad.
actually like flipping through the newspaper the other day, and I saw like the new. It was like iPhone 7 versus Pixel. I'm like, this is just gonna start a war, isn't it? If you want to start a war, this is the way to do it.
Every topic always seems to just merge into a debate over types of phones or terrorism.
Yeah, that's basically all of them.
Going back to the magnet cubes with no spring friction means a whole new array of cubes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we use magnets, there's this whole bunch of friction things in the cube that we could get rid of. And so, instead of just having, as many people have criticized the cube companies, instead of just having little tiny moderations and not necessarily improvements in new cubes, we could have a whole revolution.
Yeah. Yeah, and certainly something I want to see is like going back and taking ideas that maybe didn't work out the best and improving them with today's technology, like taking something like the original 356, something like that, which, well, basically the main problem with it was its stability, and then we can take it back and add magnets and see what happens or something like that. So I'm generally pretty interested in that as well. I know a lot of people are interested in adding magnets to smaller cubes and bigger cubes and seeing what happens. I've heard of a few people that have done that, and of course, stuff like putting magnets in like Pyraminx's cube, that's already like mainstream.
So if you're wondering how this cube feels, the magnetic cubes, Crazy Bird Cuber has a fairly apt summary. He said, "Definitely feels like a Waylong GTS, except with magnets."
It sounds like
is very fair, because it is indeed a Waylong GTS, except with magnets.
that. Honestly, sounds like something my dad would say.
We've also made the royal have made a magnetic 2x2 as well. I think it was Chris Olsen or something made a magnetic 2x2.
Yup.
Yeah, and this brought to mind. Well, making a magnetic 4x4 would be very difficult because of the construction of those cubes and like how are you gonna magnetize the centers to each other?
It would just be way too expensive.
Yeah, not just, but like logistically, you have infinite money, you have infinite resources. Make a magnetized 4x4.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that can be done
Yeah.
unless you replace the plastic with magnets completely. In which case, the cube would collapse upon itself or something. I don't know.
And honestly, like big cubes are getting like really stable now. Like even 6x6s, there are ones that like don't pop. So I don't know if it's entirely necessary anymore.
So that also makes me question how far these magnetized things will go. If there are certain types of cubes, maybe you shouldn't, because it'll cost $500 for a 4x4.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the final big point around all these magnetic cubes is, should magnetic cubes be competition legal?
Yeah, why wouldn't they be competition legal?
Why not? Yeah.
Well, the big issue people are bringing up is that it, so everyone knows there's the 45-degree rule, which is if the top layer is off by, or any layer is off by 45 degrees, then then it's a +2.
Yes.
And the problem people are having with this is that magnets could theoretically snap that top layer back into place, either away or towards the correct position. And then should they be competition legal if they can circumvent that rule?
That's just stupid. I mean, like, that's really not your fault if you put magnets in your cube or anything like that. So it's like, if they say it's like giving somebody else an advantage because their cube snapbacks +2 or something like that, well, that's just stupid. That just tells you that you should have magnets in your cube.
Well, if you went and bought a cube from the cubicle that only had like green stickers, then the same argument could be applied. Well, you go and buy a green sticker cube.
Well, that's just purely not following the rules. That's just there's that. Okay, I think
I do agree with you, but I think it's a bad argument.
As listeners, I believe we can draw the line between only solving with green stickers and putting magnets in our cubes.
Same principle. No, you can't.
Shut up.
I think that it would be okay to have magnets in the cube as long as, like, if it is like past a certain degree, the magnets will have like almost no effect on each other to turn the piece back.
Yeah. And a lot of this is also up to the discretion of, like, judges and delegates, which, you know, is completely fine. I mean, I'm pretty sure most judges and delegates won't mind at all, to be honest, because, like, really, I mean, it doesn't matter if your cube snaps back that 5 degrees, so...
And what a lot of people are saying who have these cubes is that the magnetization makes a difference so slight that it is to be ignored. Like, basically, if you have a cube at a 45 degree angle, a layer at a 45 degree angle, then there is no way in which the magnets could pull it back or stop it. My argument against that would sort of be like, if you're flipping the last layer, the magnets can provide like a fallback. The magnets have to stop the cube turning in some way. Would be my argument against that. However, I would agree that the amount they stop the layer is probably so slight that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even if it means a +2 here, not a +2 here. when it should be. Whatever.
Yeah, if you look at the magnetic cubes currently in production and like the snapback thing, you'll just realize how silly of an argument that whole thing it just is.
Ian Scheffler, some guy, he made a book about cubing. Yeah, that's actually his secondary name, some guy. He is pretty much trying to bring cubing into the mainstream area of like hobbies and stuff. So yeah.
You've skipped over all the details, Bryce Hayes. The book is titled Cracking the Cube, and it's about speed cubing. And it came out on October the 18th. That's like 2 weeks ago from when we're recording, and probably about 5 years away from when you hear this. So he's released this book, and he's going on a book tour. Ooh. And it's about speed cubing. It's about getting into speed cubing and stuff. I'm not really interested in this book, no offense, but I am interested in these sort of attempts, and they're quite common, of somebody inside the cubing community trying to do something like go on America's Got Talent or something, to pick something that I think quite a few people have done, or write a book and try to bring cubing into the mainstream.
I'm just gonna go on a little bit of a rant here because there was something in a speed solving thread that really like genuinely annoyed me. It was like somebody on America's Got Talent. I think it was like the 3 cubes blindfolded guy or something like that. And I like posted it. I was like, yeah, I know this is fake, but I guess it's kind of like cool. And people basically just like commented basically a full page of like, oh my god, I hate that he's faking it. Dislike, whatever. And these people, you gotta look back, like, honestly. He's not gonna do a 3 out of 3 real cube multi-blind on stage. That's just impractical and silly. And what he's actually trying to do is get people into cubing. He's literally demonstrating to like millions of people what cubing is. Isn't this cool? Like, all of these people are learning about cubing through like America's Got Talent, and all of the cubers are like, lol, this is fake, I hate this.
Do you reckon his aim going on to America's Got Talent, or whatever's Got Talent it was to be like, I want to show the joy of solving Rubik's Cubes to the masses? Or do you think he was like, no, I want people to know that I can solve a Rubik's Cube, yeah? And that's probably what he sounds like.
Yeah,
so he can go to his parents like, Mum, I went on America's Got Talent, and then like when he's in the barbershop he can start up a conversation like, I went on America's Got Talent and solved 3 Rubik's Cubes blindfolded. Wow, that's really impressive. Which scenario do you think is more likely?
I'm not sure, but I do hope it's like the former, that he actually like wanted to spread the idea of cubing.
Doubt it!
You know, you gotta take a grain of salt here, right? Because like, nobody's gonna do a 3 cube multi-blind on stage. That's just so stupid. And like, why would he do one when it only actually matters to like the small selection of people who are watching America's Got Talent and happen to be cubers? Like, it really does not matter. Sure, it's gonna offend like 3 silly people, but like, honestly.
Well, I think everyone else would care if he faked it. Like, if you told the audience, oh, he's faking it, then they'd be like, oh. And that'd change their and their perception of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like, they would have already been in the community, and hopefully they were mature enough to appreciate what he did if they found out it was fake in the first place. And besides, one of the judges even said, I don't know how you memorize all those moves, which is, like, kind of leaning towards the side of she didn't even think he was memorizing in the first place. She just thought that, like, he just memorized how to solve it blindfolded. You know, like, he just had it memorized in his head already. So, either way, I think it really doesn't matter, and I really appreciate what he does. A lot of people are just, like, so butthurt over this, and it just does not make sense to me.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like, if he's trying to show people about cubing and whatnot, that's cool. But, yeah, by the fact that he kind of faked it, kind of changes the people's perception, as you said.
Oh, and I think it was Britain's Got Talent. By the way, I'm just gonna avoid any corrections here.
Follow up
yeah.
next episode.
if his aim was to bring cubing into the mainstream, I don't think faking solving 3 cubes blindfolded would be the best way to do that.
Yeah.
If that was his fundamental premise, I don't think the conclusion you would arrive at is to fake blind solving 3 cubes.
To be fair, it's got a fair few views on YouTube, and yeah, I'm not sure how many views it would have gotten if it didn't have blindfolded. See, I'm just gonna search up Rubik's Cube blindfolded. Yep, it's the first thing that comes up, sitting at 11 million views. 11 million views. That's gotta be pretty close to like top 20 most viewed cubing videos of like all time. Like, you know, you gotta give him that.
That is a lot of views.
I still don't think that was his aim. If it may have been a consequence of it, and that leads into the next point of this discussion, which is, like, do people actually get into cubing because of these things?
Yeah.
But it may have been a consequence, but I don't think his internal monologue was saying, let's get people into cubing, and was instead saying, let's gain some social status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I think I ever heard about the cubing community, I hadn't started by then. It was actually like a interview with Felix on the radio, like just before he went to Worlds, or like after he went to Worlds or something like that. I can't remember if that actually like full on happened, but I just have a vague memory of it happening, you know?
If you're trying to assess the success of like these sort of attempts to get people into cubing, theoretically, the worst people to ask about that would be cubers.
Yeah.
Because of course, those are people who are already into cubing, and they're always going to have a story about it. It's selection bias. Do you think these sort of attempts to bring cubing into the mainstream, or to get people into cubing, are fruitful at all, or is it frivolous and something people go, ooh, that looks cool, and then forget about it in 3 minutes?
Yep, that's what I think it is, because people would think, that's incredible, he must be a genius, there's no way I could ever do that. Done. Then people just forget about it.
I've actually have to disagree with you there, Bryce. I feel like the cube actually has that like long lasting effect where somebody who actually might read that book will want to do it. Like, I don't know, books kind of have that power where it's like, if it tells you about something, you kind of just want to know more and more and more, which is good. And you know, Colin Burns came out in a video and said that like he learnt a bunch from that from that book. So obviously, it's gonna be like filled with a bunch of info. So yeah.
But you wouldn't buy that book if you weren't first interested in speed cubing. Like, I would say the ideal market for that book is somebody who, like, learned to solve a Rubik's Cube 2 years ago or something, or is 2 minutes.
Well,
and not something who's never seen a Rubik's Cube since the 1980s.
How much can there be in that book to teach people who are the target market of that? Because I don't think it's targeted at cubers. I actually don't think it is. Well, I guess it has to depend a lot with how widespread it actually like becomes, like how published it is. If it's actually like sells a lot of copies, then it actually might pick up like some non-cubers. But yeah, I get what you're saying, that a lot of people probably will think that it's like a bit weird and probably will give it a miss, but I reckon if it's interesting and you're in an airport and you see it on like one of those bookshelves and you're like, oh look, I'll read this for like 2 minutes and then get really invested, I think that it actually might have the possibility to teach or get some non-cubers into the community, possibly. What I'm thinking of it now is there would be a lot of basic stuff in there, which people who are like really into cubing, who would like the type of people who would like instantly get that book, probably already know. So yeah, I guess it's going to be hard for that initial interest of sort of people new to cubing to read the book.
Yeah. It struggles with that, because possibly the people they're targeting, who are people who know nothing about cubing, aren't interested, and the people who are interested in cubing already know everything in the book. So it could struggle with that.
I think non-cubers wouldn't be like uninterested in the cube. Like, whoever have you ever like been in public and like been solving the cube and somebody's just like walked past and go, meh. It generally astounds a lot of people. Like, I've never met somebody who has genuinely been, like, bored by somebody solving a Rubik's Cube. Save, like, Simon Cowell or something.
If you met someone who could do the Rubik's Cube, you wouldn't be like, I don't really give a crap. You'd at least pretend to give a crap for the duration of your interaction.
But to me, that's, like, the argument that you're making here with this book. Like...
But you don't have a social interaction with the book. You don't need to be nice to the book. The book doesn't have feelings.
Well, obviously... It's genuinely the cube that makes it something interesting in the first place. Because, you know, it's actually an icon.
There's a difference between seeing someone actually doing the cube and a book about Rubik's Cubes. Like, to be honest, if I could go back a few years when I didn't solve Rubik's Cubes, I'd probably just look right past that book. But if I saw someone solving, like, in under 20 seconds... that'd probably be a lot more appealing to me.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, obviously there is going to be a difference between seeing something in real life and seeing it in a book, but, like, why is Guinness World Records books, like, still popular after how many years? Like, you're not going to see those world records in actuality, but, like, they're humongously best-selling, those books. Brad,
hello.
You own a Guinness World Records book, don't you?
Probably somewhere.
Yeah, Bryce, you own a Guinness World Records book, don't you?
Yeah, Guinness World Records are always interesting.
Yeah, see?
Alright, I'm interested to see where you go with this.
Like, you're not gonna see these world records, but people genuinely have an interest in it. I feel like that's like the same kind of...
There's a difference between a book that tells you how many snakes someone can swallow, and a book that instructs you on how to swallow snakes.
But the book isn't on how to solve the Rubik's Cube. It's about everything. It's about the whole community.
I think it is.
I don't think so.
I think it's about CQing.
It's not about how to get faster at the Rubik's Cube.
And thus our fundamental disagreement was revealed. Somebody swallowing swords is inherently interesting, but learning how to swallow swords, less so.
True.
Dude, swallowing swords is cool. I would learn how to swallow swords if I saw a book on how to swallow swords. You can't lie that you would learn how to swallow swords if you could, like...
I don't have a sword. I'd rather not practice learning how to... I'd rather not be an amateur sword swallower. I think that's one of the worst things to be.
Almost worse than like an amateur violinist. It's like... Great! But no, I have to disagree with you two. I believe that this book, if it does get published in enough places, will actually pick up.
Alright. So we're gonna have to check back on it next time and see how it's doing. I don't know. Check the Amazon bestsellers list or something.
The 15x15 Rubik's Cube is now into production. Yay.
Wow!
Just like they said it was going to be made, like, in 2014 or something.
So yeah, Moe's posted a picture on their Facebook page of, like, these molds, and there's a bunch of fancy machinery, and there's a fancy blue computer. So, you know, it's all the signs of industry. It's all the signs of manufacturing, dated technology, and fancy machines.
Yep.
So we know it's into production. When did they say they were going to start producing it? Long time ago, but you know what? Better late than never. So we're going to rehash a discussion that we've probably had at some point about the 13x13. Very big cubes. Why make one?
They have promised the 15x15 for a while. It's about time.
It's the whole collecting thing, like, you know, people like collecting stuff because it looks cool and it feels good to have something that not a lot of other people have. I think that's generally like the same thing with these really, really, really big cubes.
Now that I think about it, probably the reason that this was delayed for so long is because when they announced the 13x13 and 15x15 at the same time, anyone who's willing to pay a lot of money on a big cube, they'll probably just get the 15x15 because it's bigger and better.
Yeah, I think. I do feel like the 13x13 production's just gonna plummet unless the price is like way higher. I feel like the 13x13 is gonna become slightly more redundant.
When you say the price could be way higher, I wouldn't necessarily put a blanket ban on that, because although it's only like two numbers, 13 to 15, it's two. if we're following the square
Yeah,
cube
yeah.
law, there's quite a few more pieces, and there's quite a lot more production involved, and if you mess one up, it's quite a bit more price to make another one. So, I don't know what the price on this would be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, double.
Yeah, true.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, we'll have to see about that. Because there will be, obviously, it'll be more. It won't be less.
The Cubing Show, for the best insights. 15 by 15 will cost more than the 13.
We need to write a book. I'm just picturing Reese on this book cover looking up into the stars with his hand on his chin. Thinking...
It's like a 13 by 13, but more.
Mind equals blown.
I would ask you guys if you were going to buy one, but I know the answer to that, so I'm going to ask you instead, what would motivate one to buy one?
As I said before, collecting. A lot of people who are into collecting do not care about prices, and they would rather just get what they want to get.
And as we know from culture, people like to have the biggest. So it'd be cool to have the biggest cube, you know? The biggest cube you could have, here's the biggest.
Basically, everybody with a 13 by 13 now is just down the drain.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I have a big cube. While crying.
When you need to compensate for something else.
Yeah.
But is it worth the price?
We don't know what the price is, though.
Let's just go with double. That's our base assumption. So what was the 13? $300?
$300 US. So let's say it costs $600 US.
Alright.
Yeah.
Which is Australian dollar $7.89. Alright.
Yeah, but
So that's like how many slaves?
yeah, not sure, but you gotta remember, like, people pay for puzzles which are like way over $1,000 and are 10 times smaller. Well, not 10 times, obviously, but like maybe 3 times smaller than the 15 by 15. I think it was Crazy Bad Cuba a couple of years ago opens, like, was it the Octophobic 8x8 Megamorphics thing? And that cost like well over $1,000. So yeah, I reckon collectors will definitely go for it, and unboxers will probably definitely go for it. People who want reviews will go for it.
But that is a good point about the other cubes, like the other big cubes that people buy, and the other fancy cubes, and the big minxes, which I think are underrated. Is the Petaminx, is that like a thing for sale, or is that a one-time thing?
Not sure, but
anyway, whatever. There's big minxes people buy,
yeah,
and they're lots of monies.
Yeah, but you gotta. I don't think a lot of people will buy it generally, because like, the cubing community are young, and for some people, like $2 or $3 is the difference, not $300. So it brings back this whole idea of the budget cube being a thing, because like, since this community is so young, it's probably going to be worth it to buy a $9 cube instead of a $20 cube. However, if you're like an adult with a full-time paying job, then the 15 by 15 might be an investment.
Percentage-wise, maybe a large portion of the cubing community are young.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I still think that there's a lot of people who have the funds.
Yeah.
And have the interest, and are of an age at which they could justify purchasing one of these puzzles.
Yeah, people are definitely going to buy this cube. I'm just saying that, like, there are probably going to be people who will definitely not buy this cube.
Here are some outtakes from this episode of The Cubing Show.
What are you doing, Bryce? Like slapping the belly of a fat man. I just ASMR'd so hard that my microphone fell off its stand.
Has anyone made an MLG JR Cuber?
Hey guys, it's JR Cuber here.
Just like turn the contrast fully up, and then bass boost and decibel boost.
Yeah,
What?
I'm not sure. Somebody should do that.
What were we talking about? Alright.
Caution. Do not throw to person. Use gently to avoid hurt or break. Keep an eye on the children not to swallow. Kinky.
We're cutting that out.